All right, ready for this? We're going deep on Big Manitou Falls today.
Sounds exciting.
It is. And we've got like articles, blogs,
Yeah.
travel guides, even stumbled across this family's YouTube vlog about their trip.
Wow, quite the range.
Yeah, so we're not just going to skim the surface here, give you the basic facts and figures.
Right.
Think of it as like your ultimate insider's guide to Big Manitou Falls. Why it's so special.
Love it.
And maybe even inspire you to, add it to your must-see list.
Well, you might need a pretty big list because this waterfall is huge.
Oh, yeah.
165 feet tall, officially the tallest waterfall in Wisconsin.
Wow. I mean, I knew it was big, but
And get this, it's the fourth highest east of the Rockies.
fourth highest in all that area.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I was watching that YouTube vlog we have, and the dad, he's from upstate New York,
Okay, yeah.
which is like Waterfall Central, right?
For sure.
Even he was blown away by the scale of Big Manitou. Hard to picture, though, 165 feet.
Think like 5 school buses stacked on top of each other.
Oh, wow. Okay, now that I can picture. That's a lot of water plummeting down.
It's a sight to behold for sure,
Yeah.
and the location is pretty amazing too.
Oh, yeah. Where is it exactly?
Nestled in Pattison State Park, just south of Superior, Wisconsin. Easy to find, well marked. Parking's right there, near both Big Manitou and Little Manitou Falls.
Wait, there are 2 OL?
2 for the price of 1. We'll get to the little one later.
Okay. See, this is why I love doing these deep dives, always learning something new. Actually, speaking of learning new things, I was reading this blog post, and it mentioned the park's namesake, Martin Pattison.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, he was a miner back in the day.
That's right.
And get this, he actually fought to save the falls from being dammed up.
It's a fascinating story. Early 1900s, there was this big push to dam the Black River for hydroelectricity.
Really? They wanted to dam Big Manitou.
It was a hot topic. Some folks were all for it.
Jobs, electricity, I get it.
Exactly. Progress, right? But Pattison, he saw the falls differently. He thought some natural wonders were just too precious to mess with.
So like an early conservationist.
Basically, he argued that damming the river would not only destroy the falls, but also, totally disrupt the whole ecosystem there. The fish, the plants, everything.
Wow, I bet that wasn't a popular opinion back then.
It was a tough battle, a lot of back and forth, but in the end, Pattison's side won out.
Thank goodness for that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about Big Manitou Falls today. Just a big old lake, I guess.
Right. And speaking of being able to visit, one travel guide mentioned that dogs are allowed on the trails as long as they're leashed.
Oh, nice. So Fido can enjoy the view, too. All right, so we've got this massive waterfall, historically significant.
Absolutely.
But what's it actually like being there? The descriptions in some of these sources are wild.
Right. I mean, thundering roar, root beer colored water definitely paints a picture.
It's root beer colored. What's that about? Is it safe to swim in?
Haha, oh no swimming. It's safe though. That color comes from tannins. It's natural, like what you get in tea, but from leaves and stuff decomposing in the water.
So like nature's tea-stained waterfall. Interesting. But okay, besides the cool color, what else visually makes it so special?
Well, have you seen pictures of the gorge itself? It's like almost carved out. Super dramatic.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it does look kind of sculpted. Why is that?
It's because the Black River cut through some serious rock to create this. Not just sandstone, but basalt too.
Basalt. Isn't that volcanic?
Exactly. It's known for being incredibly tough. The Wisconsin DNR even mentions this in their info. It's like the reason the gorge looks so unique, this mix of hard basalt and softer sandstone, it's like nature's art project.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Big Manitou got its dramatic look because a river decided to cut through rock tough enough to survive a volcano.
Pretty much.
That is wild. I bet it makes for some amazing photos. Although I did see one blogger say they struggled to capture it, even with all their fancy camera tricks.
Yeah, with waterfalls this powerful, it's a challenge. It's all about finding that right balance, conveying the movement and energy of the water.
Makes sense. So we've got the thunderous roar, root beer water, a gorge carved through volcano rock. What else? What else makes being there so special?
Well, here's the best part. You can actually choose your view. There are different viewpoints on both sides of the river, each giving you a different perspective.
Wait, you can see it from different angles.
Oh yeah, like if you're facing the falls, the left side is popular. It's supposed to be the spot for capturing the full height of the waterfall.
Okay, makes sense. Get the whole thing in the shot.
Right. But then there's this blog post that was raving about the view from the right side. Apparently over there you can see this hidden side channel that branches off from the main falls.
Whoa, a secret waterfall within a waterfall. All right, now I'm intrigued. So multiple viewpoints, each with its own unique, what's the word, charm.
Exactly. But before you grab your hiking boots, let's talk accessibility.
Oh, good point. Is this a hardcore hike situation, or can anyone get to the good views?
It kind of depends on what you're looking for. The main viewing area, near the parking lot off County Road B, that's pretty accessible. Short paved path takes you right to the overlook.
Okay, good to know. So it's not just for, like, expert hikers.
No, not at all.
There's a but, I can tell.
Well, some people talk about trails leading down towards the base of the falls. Not exactly like official trails, though. More like...
Sounds a little risky.
Could be. It's one of those things, weigh the risk versus reward. The views from the bottom are supposed to be spectacular, but those trails, they're steep, could be slippery, especially after it rains.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that might not be ideal for, like, families with little kids.
Probably not the best choice now. Best to stick to the main trails unless you're really experienced and prepared for whatever nature throws at you.
Good advice. Safety first. So we've got the stats, the history, the visuals.
Yeah.
But it's more than just one waterfall, right? Like, what else is there to see and do around Big Manitou?
Oh, absolutely. It's about the whole experience, the whole area. Remember Little Manitou Falls we mentioned?
Oh, yeah, the other waterfall. Is it as impressive as its big brother?
Well, it's smaller, only 31 feet tall, but it's got its own charm. It's actually split into two separate drops, like two waterfalls in one.
Oh, wow. That's cool. What else?
And then there's Inner Falls Lake, absolutely beautiful.
Inner Falls Lake, what's that all about?
Well, remember how Pattison fought against damming the river?
Yeah.
Well, Inner Falls Lake is actually man-made. They did build a smaller dam and spillway upstream.
Oh, interesting.
So it's this testament to how sometimes human intervention and natural beauty can coexist.
Wow, so many layers to this place. A dam almost gets built, a local hero stops it, a smaller dam creates a lake, and of course, the star of the show, Big Manitou Falls itself. History, drama, nature, all wrapped up in one. I'm starting to see why this place is so special.
It really is. And there's something for everyone, whether you're a casual sightseer, a history buff, a hardcore hiker, or...
Well, someone who loves a good waterfall photo op.
Exactly. And there's one more thing we haven't even touched on yet. The Native American connection to Big Manitou Falls.
Ooh, okay. I knew there had to be a deeper cultural layer to this. We have to talk about that. But you know what? I think this is the perfect spot for a quick break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back with more on Big Manitou Falls after this. Okay, so we've covered the size, the history, the amazing views. But there's this whole other layer to Big Manitou Falls we haven't even gotten to yet.
Right. Its connection to Native American culture. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, I was reading that for centuries, it's been a sacred site for the Ojibwe people. Their connection to the land and water there, it's deep.
Absolutely. For them, it's not just a waterfall.
Exactly. And I even found the Ojibwe name for the falls, Gitche Manitou. Do you know what that means?
Oh, yeah. Gitche Manitou translates to Falls of the Great Spirit, which, when you think about it,
Pretty powerful.
It is. It reflects the Ojibwe belief that the falls are like a dwelling place of powerful spirits, this place of immense spiritual energy. It's not hard to imagine standing there, feeling that energy all around you.
Wow. Falls of the Great Spirit. I mean, that changes how you see the whole thing. It's not just about the height or the views.
There's this deeper meaning.
Exactly. It's like a sacred place.
Yeah.
I bet there are some amazing Ojibwe stories and legends about Big Manitou.
Oh, there are tons. Lots of stories about spirits who live within the falls, shaping the landscape, guiding the people. I even read one about a giant serpent.
A giant serpent. Whoa, okay. Living in the gorge.
Yep. And its movements, they're what create the thunderous roar of the water.
Okay, that's intense. Do you think people believed those stories literally, or were they more symbolic?
That's a great question. It probably depends who you ask, right? Some people might take them literally as actual accounts of supernatural beings. Others might see them more as metaphors.
For the power of nature, maybe?
Exactly, the mystery of the place. But either way, it adds this whole other dimension to visiting Big Manitou Falls. Like, you're stepping into a place where the lines between the physical world and the spiritual world, they kind of blur.
Yeah, totally. And it's a good reminder that our human history there, it's just a tiny part of a much bigger story, one that's been going on for who knows how long.
Exactly. So we've talked about the deeper meaning, the cultural significance.
But now I'm thinking practically, for those of us who want to, capture the beauty of the falls, any tips for aspiring waterfall photographers?
Well, remember that blogger who mentioned having trouble capturing the fall's power? They were using a slow shutter speed, which
No.
can create that soft, dreamy look.
Yeah, I remember.
But sometimes it makes the water too blurry, you lose the detail.
Ah, okay. So what do you do?
Experiment. Try faster shutter speed. You can actually freeze the action, the movement of the water.
Oh, that's cool. So you can capture the energy that way.
Exactly. It's all about what feel you're going for. Slow shutter for ethereal, fast shutter for more dynamic. And then there's composition.
Oh, yeah. How to frame the shot.
Right. Look for interesting stuff in the foreground, a rock, a tree, something to add depth and context. Oh, and don't forget about the light. Early morning, late afternoon, that's when you get the best, most dramatic light.
So many things to think about. It's like waterfall photography is a whole art form in itself. And, I keep thinking about that root beer colored water. It's such a strange detail.
It is. But remember, it's natural. The tannins, those compounds from leaves and bark, they leach into the water and give it that color. It happens a lot in forests, but with Big Manitou, it's really pronounced.
Yeah, it sounds striking.
Oh, it is. And you know what's cool? The color can actually change throughout the year. Depends on the rainfall, what kind of leaves are falling. It's always evolving.
It's like a living, breathing thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so visuals, check. But accessibility, that's important too. We talked about the main viewing area being easy to get to, but what about those other spots, the trails? Is Big Manitou a good place for, say, families with kids or people who can't handle rough terrain?
Well, it depends. The main platform is definitely good. Stroller-friendly, wheelchair accessible, but some of those other trails, they can be pretty steep and challenging. Not for everyone.
So maybe not the ideal spot for a leisurely stroll with a toddler.
Right. But there are trails that are like moderate difficulty, well-maintained, nice views. Just always check the conditions before you go, Be prepared.
Good advice. And those unofficial trails leading down to the base of the falls, any thoughts on those?
Honestly, I wouldn't recommend them unless you're a really experienced hiker, okay with some risk. They're not maintained, they can be slippery, and you could get lost.
So yeah, probably best to stick to the marked trails, especially with kids or anyone who's not super steady on their feet.
Exactly. There's so much to see on those safe trails anyway. No need to get adventurous. Unless that's your thing, of course.
Speaking of things to see, any other insider tips, hidden gems we haven't covered yet?
Oh, actually, one thing I haven't mentioned is that there's this really cool little museum near the park entrance.
Oh.
Yeah, it's dedicated to the history of the whole area.
Yeah.
The logging industry, the fight to save the falls, even some Ojibwe exhibits.
Oh, wow. I love those unexpected little museum finds.
Right. It's a great way to really round out your visit, get some context.
So it's not just about the waterfall. It's about the whole experience, the history, the culture. Man, I'm telling you, I am sold on this place.
Me too. It's truly special.
And I think our listeners are going to be feeling the pull of Big Manitou too after all this. But before we totally wrap up, I want to go back to that Ojibwe name, Gitche Manitou, Falls of the Great Spirit. Just the name itself is so evocative.
I know, right? It makes you think about how we approach places like this. Are we just visitors passing through, or are we trying to connect with something deeper? The land, the history.
It makes you think about our responsibility, too, to protect these places, preserve them, so that future generations can experience the same awe and wonder.
Exactly. Big Manitou Falls is a gift. We have to treat it that way.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot today. The science, the history, the spiritual side of things. We even threw in some photography tips. But honestly, the best way to understand Big Manitou Falls is to experience it for yourself.
Pictures and descriptions can only go so far. You have to feel it.
So to all our listeners out there, consider this your official invitation to go on your own WN deep dive into Big Manitou Falls. Go explore, soak it all in, and let yourselves be amazed by the power and beauty of this incredible place.
And as you're standing there taking it all in, think about that Ojibwe name, Gitche Manitou. Let it remind you of the deep connections this place holds, the importance of respecting and preserving it.
What a great thought. Big Manitou Falls, a place of natural wonder, human history, and yeah, maybe even a touch of the spiritual.
It truly is.
And for those who are ready to start planning their trip, all the sources we mentioned, we've got links to them in the show notes. Travel guides, park maps, articles on the history, all that good stuff. So go out there, do your research, and get ready to be wowed by Big Manitou Falls.
You won't regret it. It's an experience you won't forget.
And that, my friends, brings us to the end of our deep dive. Hope you've enjoyed the journey with us.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep. So I feel like we really went deep on Big Manitou Falls today. The size, the history, those Ojibwe stories about the serpent in the gorge.
Oh yeah, that was pretty wild.
Right, and don't forget, we even covered how to take a good waterfall picture.
That's right. Slow shutter speeds, fast shutter speeds, all the tricks of the trade.
Exactly. We've given you all the info, the facts, the stories, the visuals. But here's the real question. What makes you want to see Big Manitou Falls?
Yeah, what really resonated with you? Was it the power of nature, carving out that whole gorge? Or the human element? Pattison fighting to save the falls? Or maybe those ancient Ojibwe stories, they really sparked something for you?
And honestly, we've just scratched the surface here.
Oh, for sure.
There's always more to discover, right? More Ojibwe tales, maybe some old photographs of the area, the geology of how it all formed.
It's all out there, waiting to be found.
Like, we've given you the treasure map, now it's up to you to go find the buried treasure.
And the best part is, the treasure isn't just seeing the falls, it's about understanding them, feeling that connection to nature, to history, to something bigger than yourself.
I like that. So what are you waiting for? Go do some more research, maybe even start planning that trip.
Exactly. And hey, if you make it to Big Manitou Falls, send us a picture.
Oh yeah, we'd love to see it through your eyes. But here's something to think about while you're there. Standing in front of that massive waterfall, remember that Ojibwe name, Gitche Manitou, Falls of the Great Spirit. What does that evoke for you? What stories does it tell?
Good one.
Big Manitou Falls, a place of natural wonder, human history, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of magic.
It's out there waiting for you.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on our deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.